Please welcome Guild Wars 2 Game Director, Colin Johansson.
Thanks for coming here, everybody. That's quite a start to the day, huh? Yeah! So it's been a very interesting week at Guild Wars 2. We have a lot going on this week. Obviously, next weekend, we have our second major beta weekend for Heart of Thorns, our first expansion. We just announced a release date. Yeah. So October 23rd, all of you will get to play Guild Wars 2 Heart of Thorns live in Tyria. Really exciting stuff. And this week is the 3-year anniversary of the launch of Guild Wars 2. So what better time for us to get together and talk a little bit more about Guild Wars 2 and to tell you more about our first expansion, Heart of Thorns. But before I do that, let's take a minute and look back at the 3 years that brought Guild Wars 2 to where we are today. So 3 years ago, Guild Wars 2 launched to critical acclaim. We won numerous online Game of the Year awards, Game of the Year awards, and even Time Magazine's Game of the Year award. We've sold over 5 million copies of Guild Wars 2 to date, and our Metacritic score is the highest of any new MMO in the last decade. Thanks to all of you guys and everybody watching at home on Twitch, the game is still going strong today. We've had a ton of new users this year and an incredible amount of excitement around Guild Wars 2 with the announcement of our new expansion. So the biggest thing that we've traditionally heard over those 3 years about Guild Wars 2 is, I love this game, I love living in the world of Tyria, but I want even more to do at level 80. I want a clear end game in Guild Wars 2. I want more content at level 80. And that's what this expansion is all about, and why we built Guild Wars 2 Heart of Thorns. Everything from our elite specializations, where your profession can become this new sort of sub-profession, if you will, where a thief can become a daredevil, a guardian can become a dragon hunter, a ranger can become a druid. Our new mastery system. This is our unique take on endgame progression. We don't want to add new levels to Guild Wars 2. We don't want to add new tiers of gear that you have to constantly grind through. We want to do contextual progression with our system of masteries, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later. We have our extended version of our Fractals of the Mist dungeons. We're overhauling these as our endgame 5-man dungeon content, and we're raising the max level to Fractal level 100 to add more endgame experience for your 5-man dungeon parties. Guild Halls is our endgame social experience for you and your friends. This is an opportunity to own a part of our world, to have a guild hall, and as your guild levels up, to unlock and build out that guild hall, to customize and decorate that experience, and to have a place that you and your friends can duel together. PvP Leagues is our end game experience for PvP players. We will begin regularly running PvP Leagues where you can compete and fight up to higher divisions and prove once and for all who are the best PvP players in Guild Wars 2 and who are the best PvP teams in Guild Wars 2. And the best teams will even get invitations to major competitive PvP tournaments. So all of these are things that we're doing with this expansion, along with our jungle region and its massive, really huge 3D space for you to explore and enjoy, our new storyline, and of course, live content that you can come to expect from Guild Wars 2. All of these are things we're doing to extend and build on that end game, that level 80 experience in Guild Wars 2. But there's one more piece that's missing, the linchpin, I would say, to our additional plans to expand endgame in Guild Wars 2. And you saw a little word pop up there earlier. Raids are coming to Guild Wars 2. Woo! So we brought a little trailer, just a little teaser, if you will, of a little bit what raiding looks like in Guild Wars 2. Let's take a look. Wars 2 is why raids in Guild Wars 2? And I think to fully answer that question, we have to take a step back and look at what inspired us to make Guild Wars 2 in the first place. When we set out to make Guild Wars 2, we wanted to challenge MMO conventions. We wanted to take the things that people love about online games and find ways to do them even better where we can. And we wanted to take the things that people traditionally were frustrated with in online games and MMOs and find a way to change those, evolve them, and do something different with Guild Wars 2, something uniquely ArenaNet. And I think that's been a huge part of the success we've had over these 3 years. I think if you think about things like there's no kill stealing in Guild Wars 2. Everyone can harvest from the same resource nodes. We've replaced traditional questing with our dynamic event system so that everyone can play the same content together. You don't have to wait in line and take turns to play through quests. The content scales, so the more players that show up, the more there is to do, so the game is always fun when you see another player. Our unique take on PvP, where anybody within an hour of playing the game can go into PvP and have a level 80 character with max gear, so they can instantly start playing PvP. And it's all about how good of a player you are, as opposed to going through a massive grind before you can start playing the game mode that you love. Woo! Woo! Yeah! So each of those philosophies inspired decisions that we made with Guild Wars 2. And we took the same concept when we sat down to think about this expansion. And we asked ourselves, what are the things that we love about expansions? Let's see if we can do those and do them even better. And what are the things that are typically frustrating about an expansion experience? And let's try to do that a little bit differently. And that's why we're not adding new levels to Guild Wars 2. That's why we're not adding a gear treadmill that you have to constantly keep on to stay up with the game. And that's why we're doing raiding, is our fans have been telling us they're looking for the ultimate instance challenge in Guild Wars 2. They want something that is more than our dungeons offer today. They want a truly challenging experience. We want to give you all the things that raiders love about raiding, but without all the headaches traditionally associated with raiding. And we felt that was the perfect way we could answer that request for more challenging instance content in Guild Wars 2, without all those headaches you traditionally think of with raiding. So what are raids in Guild Wars 2? Do you guys want to know? Yeah! Okay. They are 10-player, instanced, challenging group content. Harder than any challenging content you've seen in Guild Wars 2 before. Yeah. They tie into our new advanced system of progression, our mastery system. So for example, in the trailer you just saw, the tongue boss guy, you're fighting him on a giant platform, and there's a moment where basically he charges up to unleash a massive nuke that slowly spreads across the platform. You have to spin off just enough players to clear a path for you to jump off and escape that platform, while enough players are staying behind, controlling and doing damage to the boss. At the last second, as the nuke begins to expand, if you've successfully cleared a path for your party, everyone needs to run and jump and deploy their gliders, hit a wind gust and circle above, and dive bomb back in, and immediately start unleashing their damage and control as fast as possible before that boss continues to rotate through its new cycle. That's an example of how our gliding masteries will tie into raiding, but many of our mastery abilities play a part in giving you abilities that help you overcome these bosses. So what else is raiding in Guild Wars 2? It's bosses, it's encounters, and it's so much more. We're using our dynamic event system to build the content in our raids, which means that a raid in Guild Wars 2 can be anything that our event system allows us to do. And as you can imagine, that's a pretty huge, wide array of experiences. Certainly, we will have our more traditional linear raid experiences, a little bit more like dungeons, but we also have the opportunity to do a lot more than that with our event system. And we think that that means that we can provide a truly, uniquely Guild Wars 2 experience for players looking for that ultimate challenge. Raiding in Guild Wars 2 leverages our amazing action-based combat system to bring your focus into what's going on in the action. I think when we all think about raiding, traditionally, oftentimes, the image you have is a screen completely covered in UI bars, moving up and down. And somewhere in a little pocket in the middle, you can see the encounter that's going on. Guild Wars 2 isn't about that. It's all about watching what's going on the screen. It's all about watching the positioning of the other players in your party and taking advantage of that, comboing off the abilities they put down, and reacting to the things that the enemies you're facing are doing, and focusing on getting the right structure and right placement for your party to work together to overcome those challenges. Raids are where all the great things about the Guild Wars 2 combat system come together. Weapon swapping, dodge rolling, player positioning, skill combos, and our fluid system of control, support, and damage that relies on players keeping themselves alive as well as having to work with their party, as well as having to control enemies, all at the same time for you to overcome these great challenges. No more are you reliant on 2 people in your party, your healers, keeping everyone alive. Everyone has to work together to overcome these challenges. So let's talk a little bit about things that raids in Guild Wars 2 do differently. There is no waiting to have fun. There is no attunement process in Guild Wars 2 raiding. You don't need to grind through an endless attunement before you're even allowed to walk into our raids. We think raiding should be all about having fun and playing the raid. So you walk through the door, you walk in, and you're instantly facing off against this content. You might get your face smashed in a whole bunch of times, but that's okay. That's what it's all about. You're going to refine your build, refine your strategy, work together, and eventually overcome these challenges and get to the end of our raids for legendary rewards. So what else is different? Yeah. That's all I'm going to say about that right now. So part of waiting to have fun, and another component that we want to get rid of, is traditionally when you think of raiding, it's all about building the exact perfect party composition so you can overcome a challenge. And that means oftentimes you end up sitting around waiting 30 minutes for your healer to get online, or 45 minutes for the exact right tank to get online. And it means potentially, if you love playing a ranger, that night you don't get to play a ranger. You're stuck being the monk for the evening because somebody couldn't make it because their kid got sick. Well, that's not what Guild Wars 2 should be about. We built our combat system, we built our fluid roles, and we built our trait system so that every profession has the ability to be able to control, do damage, and support. And how you defeat encounters in Guild Wars 2 should be based on you playing the professions that you love, making a build that works with the builds everyone else in your party has built together, and trying to overcome the challenges, playing the professions and the abilities that you love to defeat this content. So what else is different about raiding? Well, there's no endless gear grinds in Guild Wars 2. That's a huge difference, which means every time that we add a new raid to the game, all of the hard work you did in the past is no longer invalidated. We don't leave a wasteland of content behind. And I think that's a huge difference philosophically when you think about raiding. You know, in Guild Wars 1, when I beat the Underworld, when I beat Fissure of Woe, when I beat the Deep, or Orgaz's Warren, and especially when I beat Domain of Anguish, that was a big deal, and it stayed a big deal. To this day, I'm still proud to say that I did those things. And we want to embrace that spirit with our content in Guild Wars 2. I think the problem with adding new tiers of gear is it means you beat a raid, and 6 months later, a new tier of gear comes in, or new levels get added to the game, and suddenly that content becomes more trivial. It's not as big of a deal that you beat it. And we want everybody to be able to say, when I beat this thing, 6 months later, I'm going to come back, and it's just as challenging as it was the first time I played it. And if anyone beats it a year later, it's still a big deal that they beat it. And that's really important to us with challenging group content in Guild Wars 2. So we've talked at a very high level about the big components of what raiding in Guild Wars 2 is, and the things that we're trying to do differently. Let's talk a little bit about how we'll activate raiding in Guild Wars 2. So Heart of Thorns will come with our first raid, which is split up into 3 distinct raid wings. A couple of weeks after the launch of the expansion, we'll activate the first raid wing. We want to give you enough time to work on your masteries, to explore the massive jungle that we're providing, to start unlocking your elite specialization, to begin building your guild hall. And sometime after that, once players have truly figured out how to overcome that first raid wing and begin defeating the challenges in it, we'll start introducing the second and third raid wings down the road as well. Now that's not the only component to raiding in Guild Wars 2. As you know, we're relatively well known for having a pretty exciting live release pace with Guild Wars 2. And we're going to pick that back up again after the release of this expansion. We've had over 40 live releases, major live releases, for Guild Wars 2 since the launch of the game. And raiding will now become a key component of the live release cadence for Guild Wars 2 going into the future. rating will become a key component for how we handle live in the future. All of the things we're doing with Heart of Thorns is our message to you guys of what you should expect in the future from Guild Wars 2. Elite Specializations is how we will grow our professions in the future. Raids is how we will continue to add 10-player challenging group content. Our Fractal Dungeons is our endgame 5-player dungeon content that will continue to expand. The Jungle Region and our storyline are all forms of continuing our story in our world. And of course, Living World is out there is another form that we'll be using to continue that. Our Mastery System is the way that we will continue to add endgame progression and abilities to Guild Wars 2. Our PvP Leagues is a way that we'll continue to add progression and challenge, not really progression, but challenge for our PvP players to fight and prove who are the best teams. Each of these features is a roadmap to you of where we want to take Guild Wars 2 in the future. And we're really excited to have Raids be a part of that. So that's everything for today about raiding. And we might have something more to tell you here today. To do that, let me introduce to you the president and co-founder of ArenaNet. We like to call him Mo.
Hello, everyone. Hello. So great to see you all. How are you doing today? I got to hang out with some of you in line before. I know you all stood in line because we are over capacity today. I give a shout out to Gunnar and Eric and everyone at the front of the line who got here at 5 in the morning. You guys are hardcore. You're awesome. And the cosplay. Oh man, the cosplay just blows me away this year. Have you seen it? Let's give a big hand for our cosplayers. And I saw Rhonda, aka Malibu Barbie, you all know her, who organizes Pink Day in LA. She asked me to tell you it is October 17 in Lions Arts this year. And you know, that's all about gamers giving back to help the Cancer Society. So big hand for that too. And this is our 3rd anniversary weekend. Wow. What a wild ride it has been these past 3 years. You know, we sold more than 5 million copies of the base game. That is fantastic. You know what's better than that? With Guild Wars 2, we've been lucky to gather together this community who's become known over the years as the friendliest community in all of online gaming. And that's thanks to you watching right now. Another thing we've done over the past few years is we have shipped a lot of content. Colin was just saying more than 40 major content releases. And those are full of things like world-changing events, living world episodes, and of course, lots of new features. And all of those content releases, all of those new features, they've been free of charge because Guild Wars 2 has the simplest of business models. You buy the game and you play it as long as you want to with no monthly fees. We have been championing this as a great business model for online worlds and online games since launching the original Guild Wars a decade ago. And we believe in it. We believe in buy to play because it's great for gamers and it's great for developers. And there's really only one place where it gets tricky, and that is when we're talking about releasing expansion packs. Because then the decision is, what should you have to already own so that you're allowed to buy the new expansion pack? Right? And we've seen examples, sometimes it gets kind of crazy, right? Sometimes I'm a new player, I want to get into a game, and the game's already got a few expansion packs under its belt. Of course, I want to play with my friends. And my friends are playing the latest stuff, so what should I buy? Should I buy the base game and also every single expansion? Well, we decided earlier this year we could be clearer than that. And so you saw, earlier this year, we started bundling Guild Wars 2 in as a free bundle for everyone who buys Heart of Thorns. There's just one thing to buy. In In 2012 through 2014, all you bought is Guild Wars 2, and you got these 40 content updates with no additional charge. And now today in 2015, just buy Heart of Thorns. Just buy Heart of Thorns, and you're going to get a bunch of future updates telling the ongoing story beyond the expansion pack with no charge. And now here we are. We've announced the launch date. We are counting down to the release of Heart of Thorns. And as we start this final countdown, there's just a few things to talk about. And one of those things is taking this business model to its natural conclusion, because we already bundle Guild Wars 2 for free for anyone who buys Heart of Thorns. Today, we're going to make Guild Wars 2 free for everyone.
Wow.
Did you notice I said today? Yeah. That's right. As soon as we're done here on stage, actually, you can go to our website and download the game and check it out for yourselves. For new players, there's no confusion about what to buy, because you can download and play the core Guild Wars 2 for free. Then, when you want to experience the expansion, all the new endgame content that comes with it, and the releases that will come after, you just have to buy one thing, Heart of Thorns. Now, I know many of you have been asking us over the years for a free trial so that you can get your friends into the game. Well, now you've got that and more. And really, there's no better time to invite your friends. There's no better time to expand your guilds, because we've got Heart of Thorns coming soon. And you know, Heart of Thorns is all about endgame content, right? We've got Masteries, our post-level 80 character progression system, coming soon. And we've got Stronghold PvP coming soon. We've got the revamped Fractals of the Mists, our endless 5-man dungeon coming soon. And now we've got Raids. Super excited about that one. So with all this endgame content, there's really no better time to build up your characters and get ready to enter the jungle. Now, a lot of you have to be asking, now that the core Guild Wars 2 is free, does that mean Guild Wars 2 is changing its business model? Does that mean we're going to be like one of those free-to-play games that are all about monetizing free players? And the answer is no. No, it's not changing. Guild Wars 2 isn't changing. The Gem Store is not changing. It's all exactly the same as it always was. The game experience stays the same. We're just opening it up to more players. In fact, the funny thing is, we can actually do this because we believe in buy-to-play, because we believe that when players come into the game, when players love Guild Wars 2, they're going to buy Heart of Thorns. So we know that by making the core game free, there will be some concerns for existing players. And a game like Guild Wars 2, it lives or dies based on its community. Our goal is to protect our community and protect our current players, while still making it easy for you to invite your friends into the game. So we have to make sure that free accounts can't be used to abuse the game. We have to make sure that free accounts can't be used to abuse other players in the game, while still making sure that they get the full, authentic Guild Wars experience. And that's trickier than it sounds. Or I don't know, does it sound tricky? Yeah. And so we've been making some improvements behind the scenes. You probably saw we rolled out a new account security initiative recently. We've been beefing up our bot detection technology, ramping up customer support. But in addition to that, we made some changes for free accounts. And I want to talk to you today about the changes that we're making for free accounts. First of all, you should know that free accounts do start with less storage than paid accounts. That means fewer character slots and fewer bag slots. But a great thing about this is, as a free player, all you have to do is buy the game. You just buy Heart of Thorns, you'll get the full complement of storage that everybody else has. Another set of changes is about making sure that free accounts can't be used by unscrupulous people like R&T companies and stuff like that for things like botting the game, selling gold, spamming people with ads. And so we made a series of changes. These are subtle but important. These are things like, as a free account, as a free player, you can say things in the map, but you can't do map-wide chat. That's one. Or, as a free player, you can whisper to other players just like anyone else can, but you can only start a new whisper conversation once every 30 seconds. You can guess why, right? Or, as a free player, you can trade the commonly traded items on the trading post, but you can't just mail random stuff to other players. So that's another category. And then the last category of items is about level restricting areas of the game where we need to make sure that somebody unscrupulous couldn't just bring in a bunch of free accounts and disrupt the game for other players. And so I think the key example there is World versus World. You do have to play the game normally up to level 60 before you can enter World versus World. So I could go on. I could give you this long list of details, but it's kind of beside the point. What we've found is that you can't look at a list of restrictions or read through a list like this and really understand what it's going to be like in the game. You've got to test it. We have been testing and tweaking over the past few months. And if we did our jobs right, what you're going to see, as a veteran player, you're going to see Guild Wars 2 is the same Guild Wars 2 it always was. The game isn't changing. And we have made sure to protect the community. And if we did our jobs right, you're going to see the community is the same great community it always was. It's just more people to play with. And as a free player, you'll see you really get to play Guild Wars 2, this enormous game, for free. So, instead of taking my word for it, I invite you all to check it out. Like I said, we are just a few minutes right now from launch. You can all go online, check it out, and see for yourselves. Now, you've probably noticed over the past few months, especially since we announced Heart of Thorns and started pre-sales, you've probably noticed a lot of new players in the game already. There's a lot of players coming into the game these days. And we knew there was going to be an influx of new players with the launch of Heart of Thorns. Now that we're making the core game available for free, there will be even more new players into the game, a bigger influx. We're going to protect the community. What I ask you to do, I ask you, our veteran players, be the friendly faces that welcome all of these new players to the Guild Wars 2 community.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Well, we've talked today about exciting reasons to be part of the community. We've talked about the future of Heart of Thorns, and there's really just a couple more things to talk about. This is, as I said, this is our 3rd anniversary weekend. Guild Wars 2 launched 3 years ago yesterday, actually. And it's such a special anniversary for us. I'm sure you can guess this is a very special anniversary weekend, not only because of everything that we've just been talking about, but because we are on the cusp of launching our very first expansion pack. And, and this is an expansion pack that lays the groundwork for how we will be delivering all the new content that we put into the game for years to come. So this is such a special time. I thought it would be nice if we could do something to commemorate this special weekend. And so we put together a gift for all of you, all of our existing players, everybody who's been on this journey with us up to now. We are going to give you an outfit, the new Royal Guard outfit. And that will be delivered to your in-game mailboxes this coming week. The artist who made this outfit, she asked me to tell you that it was that it was a labor of love, truly a gift of love to the community. And I hope that when you wear it, I hope that you wear it with pride to show that you were here at this special time for Guild Wars 2. Another thing you know we've got going on is beta testing. We just announced this week that the next beta weekend event is this coming weekend, starting Friday. And you know, this is actually one of only 2 remaining beta events we have scheduled between now and launch. And you know, a great thing about these beta events is they take place on the live servers. So that means there's nothing tricky. If you're participating in the beta event, all you do is log into the game like you always do, and you can go check out all the new content. So these beta tests, they're open to everybody who has pre-purchased Heart of Thorns. And actually, that's a bunch of you. A lot of you have already bought Heart of Thorns. Thank you for that, and we'll see you all online this coming Friday. And we're launching a new Heart of Thorns website. I know there's so many details about all the things we've talked about today, all the new features of Heart of Thorns. I know you want to read all about raids, so go check out the new website. And we announced the release date this weekend, October 23. I think that was the question that maybe was most on everyone's mind. The one thing you've been waiting so long for us to be able to tell you. Well, now we are 55 days and counting from the launch of Heart of Thorns. I can't wait. And remember, 6 days until the next beta weekend event. And download and play the core game for free starting right now. Thank you, everyone.